You know those stories that just make the hair on your arms stand up? I'm not talking about movies. I'm talking about the real ones. The kind that start with a quiet little feeling that something is just off. Today, we're going to peel back the layers of these terrifying, true-life encounters. Not just to get spooked, but to really understand their anatomy. To see the chillingly common patterns that turn a simple moment of unease into a full-blown nightmare.
That single sentence, that's the horrifying destination of a journey that began hours, maybe even days before. It's that awful moment when the monster is no longer just a shadow you thought you saw, but a real, physical person standing in what's supposed to be your safest space. And what's truly terrifying is that this moment, it's rarely a total surprise. It's actually the climax of a sequence of events that, when you look back, is disturbingly predictable. So how do we get to that point? Is there some kind of blueprint for terror? Well, it turns out, after looking at dozens of these real-life accounts, a clear four-act structure starts to emerge. It's almost like a playbook that predators use to get from the edge of our awareness right up to our bedside. Let's break it down. Okay, so we're going to start with that first whisper from your gut, the premonition that something's not right. Then we'll look at how that feeling turns into an active, terrifying pursuit. After that, we'll dive into the shattering moment of invasion, when the sense of safety is just gone. And finally, we'll look at the invisible scars these things leave behind, long after the immediate danger is over.
All right, Act 1. Every single one of these stories begins right here. Not with a scream, but with a subtle, unnerving feeling. It's that quiet little alarm bell in your head that's so easy to dismiss. You tell yourself it's just paranoia, a coincidence, but it's almost always the very first sign that the nightmare has already begun.
This is the perfect example from a story out of San Diego. The threat wasn't obvious at all in the moment. It was only later, when she was looking back at photos from a day at the beach, that the victim realized she and her friend were being watched, documented by the same man in photo after photo. The proof was right there the whole time, just hiding in plain sight.
And here's where the internal battle begins, right? Our gut is screaming that the face in the crowd seems a little too familiar, or that the thump outside our Airbnb is more than just the wind. But our rational brain immediately tries to shut it down. It tells us, you're just being paranoid, or it's just a coincidence. And that exact rationalization, well, that's a predator's best camouflage.
And when you look across all these different stories, the opening moves are remarkably consistent. A recurring face at Coachella, strange thumps outside a remote Airbnb, a stranger at a gas station who knows things they shouldn't. These aren't just isolated, weird events. They're the calculated first steps in a terrifyingly familiar game.
But that initial feeling of being watched, it rarely stays passive for long. In Act 2, that ambiguous threat starts to close the distance. The stalker moves from the background right into the foreground, and that feeling of unease sharpens into a clear and present danger. The Coachella story is just a chilling case study in this kind of escalation. It starts totally passively, just observation in a crowd of thousands. Then it moves to a direct, unwanted approach. Then he follows her from the public festival grounds all the way to her private rental, and it all culminates in that final terrifying invasion of the bedroom itself. Each step is a calculated move, just methodically closing the gap.
See, this isn't random. The entire goal is to systematically tear down the victim's sense of safety by moving from a place where they feel anonymous, like a festival, to the one place where they should feel completely secure, their own bed. It's basically a psychological siege.
And the tactics they use are universal. How does a stalker know a gas station clerk's nightly routine, down to the exact minute she locks a specific door? How does a pleasant hike with a new date suddenly turn into a trap with two other guys emerging from the woods? It's all part of a deliberate process, testing boundaries, gathering information, and maneuvering the target into a position where they're totally vulnerable.
And this is the climax. This is the moment when all the locks and the walls and the doors just fail. This is when the victim realizes the line between outside and inside has been crossed, and the monster isn't just at the gates anymore, it's in the house. The real core of this terror is the violation of a fundamental promise, that our home is safe. Once that illusion is shattered, the psychological damage is just immense, because really, if you're not safe there, where on earth are you safe?
I mean, can you even imagine? You're investigating some weird noises, you find footprints leading to a locked shed in your rental's backyard, you lean in to listen, and a calm, polite voice from inside asks you to let him out. The confidence is absolutely bone-chilling. He's not scared, he's playing a game, and he thinks he's winning.
Oh man, this story perfectly illustrates that moment of pure terror. It's not just that someone is there, it's the realization that they've been there the whole time, hiding just feet away. The threat wasn't trying to get in, it was already in, just waiting for the perfect moment to reveal itself. The slow build from confusion to outright horror here, it's just masterful in its cruelty. And they can be anywhere. They're not always breaking a window, you know? Sometimes they're already standing silently in your living room in the dark, or crawling out from under your bed as you're trying to sleep, or just standing in your doorway. The most terrifying invasions are often the quietest ones.
This quote from the Coachella story is just so powerful because it's that moment of undeniable proof. The victim had been told, and probably even wanted to believe, that the figure in her doorway was just a hallucination. But muddy boot prints on the floor, they don't lie. That one piece of physical evidence shatters any doubt and confirms the terrifying reality of what just happened. So the intruder might leave, the police might come. But the story doesn't end there. The final act of this nightmare is the one the victim has to live with forever, the psychological fallout that completely rewires their sense of safety and their trust in the world.
And that's all it takes. Just one. One night. One person. One violation. And that feeling of being safe in your own home, or being alone in a quiet place, it can be lost for good. It's a fundamental shift in how you see the world around you.
And these aren't just abstract fears. They show up in concrete, life-altering actions. The victim from the Coachella story is now forever checking her doorway. The gas station attendant moves to a brand new town and stops working at night. The land surveyor won't take solo winter jobs anymore. It's like living in a prison of precautions, all built because of one event where every precaution failed.
And that's really the question that just hangs in the air, isn't it? These stories aren't just about jump scares. They're about a profound and lasting violation of trust. Trust in your own judgment, trust in your surroundings, trust in the basic safety of the world. And rebuilding that is a much longer and much lonelier journey than just escaping an intruder in the night. It's a reminder that the deepest scars are always the ones you can't see.